I almost did not sit down to record this today. I want you to know that before we go any further. I sat with this energy for a long time before I felt ready to put it into words. Because what came through when I tuned into this message was not a general impression or a broad energetic theme that I then shaped into something readable. It was specific, it was detailed, it was the kind of clarity that makes you put down whatever you are doing and pay full attention because you understand that what is moving through you is not ordinary. And the fact that you are here right now, that something pulled you toward this video out of everything else available to you in this moment, tells me everything I need to know. You are the person this message was assembled for. Every word of it, every layer of it. So let us not waste a single moment. Let us go straight in. Something is coming that you did not plan for. Not in the way that surprises usually arrive, wrapped in noise and obvious signals and a build-up you could track if you were paying attention. This one is moving differently. It is moving quietly, beneath the surface of your ordinary days, beneath the rhythm of your routines and your responsibilities and the comfortable predictability of your current life. It is moving with the kind of intentionality that only belongs to things that were always meant to find you. A surprise is coming, and I need you to understand what that word actually means in the context of what I am feeling in your energy right now, because this is not a surprise in the trivial sense. This is not something pleasant that simply appears without warning. This is a surprise in the deepest, most soul-level meaning of the word. The kind of surprise that reorganizes things, that makes you look back at everything that came before it and understand, perhaps for the first time with total clarity, why it all happened the way it did. The kind of surprise that changes everything. Let me tell you what came through when I first sat with your energy, because it arrived in layers the way the most significant messages always do. The first thing I felt was anticipation, not yours, though yours is present too, but the anticipation of something that has been building toward you for longer than you realize. Like a wave that formed far out at sea, invisible from the shore, traveling its full distance in silence before it finally arrives, with all the force of everything it gathered along the way. That wave is close now. And what it is carrying has your name on it in a way that is so specific, so particular to who you are and what you have been walking through, that when it arrives, you will not need anyone to tell you what it means. You will simply know the way you know certain things, not because you reasoned your way to them, but because something deeper than reason recognized them the moment they appeared. There is a person in this energy, and I want to speak about them carefully because what I am feeling around this connection is not simple and it does not deserve to be simplified. This is not a story of two people who like each other and things work out. This is something with more weight than that, more history, more soul level significance than the surface of it might suggest. This person has been in your field for a while, maybe in your immediate life, present and close, maybe at a distance, orbiting your awareness without being fully in your space. Maybe somewhere in the landscape of your past, someone you thought had moved beyond the edges of your story, but regardless of the form their presence has taken, they have never fully left your energy. And more importantly, you have never fully left theirs. Here is what I am feeling about this person with unusual clarity. They have been thinking about you with an intensity that has been building rather than fading. Most connections lose their charge over time, especially if distance or circumstance creates space between two people. But this one has been doing the opposite. The space, rather than diluting what exists between you, has been concentrating it, making it more defined, more undeniable. more impossible to continue setting aside in favor of whatever else is demanding their attention. They have tried. I want you to know that. They have genuinely attempted to redirect this energy, to place their focus elsewhere, to convince themselves that what they feel is manageable and that managing it is the right choice, and they have failed. Not dramatically, not in a way that would be visible to most people, but in the quiet, private, interior way that matters most. In the moments before sleep, in the unexpected arrivals of your face in their mind in the middle of an ordinary afternoon, in the way certain songs or certain places or certain qualities of light carry you with them, whether they want them to or not. You are inescapable to this person. And that word, inescapable, is the exact word that came through when I sat with this connection. Not chosen, not preferred, not desired, though desire is absolutely present. Inescapable, as though the connection between you operates at a frequency that exists beneath the level of decision making, beneath the level of logic or practicality or whatever story they have been telling themselves about why the timing is not right or why the circumstances are complicated or why it would be easier to simply let this exist as something felt but unexpressed. It is not easier. It has not been easier. And they are arriving at the end of their capacity to pretend otherwise. Let me go deeper into the nature of what is building between you, because there is a quality to it that I have not felt in many readings, and I want to make sure I honor it properly. What exists between you and this person is not simply chemistry, though the chemistry is undeniable. It is not simply history, though the history carries weight. It is a recognition, the specific kind that happens between two people who have encountered enough of life to know the difference between what is ordinary and what is rare, and what exists between you registers in both of your systems as rare. This person looks at you and sees something they have not seen elsewhere, not because you are performing something or presenting a curated version of yourself for their benefit, but because who you actually are, the full, complex, sometimes contradictory, deeply real version of you, speaks to something in them that has not been spoken to in a very long time, maybe ever. And that recognition, once it has occurred, cannot be undone. You cannot unrecognize something. You cannot encounter a rare thing and then successfully convince yourself it was ordinary. The mind might attempt it. Pride or fear or the practical considerations of a complicated life might push in that direction, but the knowing remains. It stays in the body even when the mind tries to argue it away. This person knows what you are, and they are done pretending they do not. I want to speak now to something that came through in the second layer of this message, because it addresses something I feel many of you have been carrying quietly and privately for longer than is comfortable. You have been wondering whether this connection is real. Not real in the sense of whether the other person exists or whether the interactions you have shared actually happened, but real in the sense of whether what you feel between you is mutual, whether the electricity is two directional, or whether you have been in some private corner of your heart feeling something that the other person does not feel with the same intensity. This wondering has been its own particular kind of weight, because you cannot ask, or you have not asked, or the circumstances have not created the right opening for that kind of direct, honest exchange. And so you have carried the question in silence, taking it out occasionally in your quiet moments to examine it from different angles, and then putting it away again without a satisfying answer. I am giving you the answer now. It is mutual. What you feel, this person feels, not in an identical form, because no two people process connection in exactly the same way. But in its essence, in its depth, in the specific quality of its stubbornness, the way it refuses to be dismissed or replaced or redirected, it is mutual. And the surprise that is coming carries the evidence of that mutuality in a form you will finally be able to hold. Does this feel like something you have been sensing beneath the surface of your interactions with this person? Have you felt that pull, that current between you that seems to exist independent of what is actually being said or done? Let me know in the comments, because I feel so many of you are navigating this very specific kind of tension right now, and I want to know how this is landing for you. Let me speak to the surprise itself now, because I have been circling it and I want to move into the center of it. What is coming is an act of initiation. This person is going to make a move, not necessarily a grand dramatic gesture, though for some of you it may arrive that way, but an unmistakable movement towards you, a closing of distance, a reaching across whatever space has existed between you with something in their hands that says, I am not pretending anymore. I am not managing this anymore. I am choosing this. I am choosing you. And the form this takes will be specific to your situation. For some of you, it will be a message, words chosen carefully, perhaps rewritten several times before being sent, carrying more weight beneath their surface than their surface alone would suggest. For others, it will be a conversation, one of those conversations that begins as something ordinary and then, at a certain moment, shifts into something else entirely, something honest, something that changes the atmospheric pressure of the space between you. For others, it will be a gesture, something done rather than said, an action that communicates what words have not yet been found for, an appearance when you did not expect them, a choice that makes their priorities undeniably clear. Whatever form it takes, you will recognize it, not with your mind first, with your body, with that specific physical response that happens when something you have been waiting for, even if you did not fully admit to yourself that you were waiting, finally arrives. Inhale. I want to speak to the everything changes part of this message now, because it is the part that carries the most weight and the most responsibility to deliver accurately. When I say this will change everything, I am not speaking in the hyperbolic language that sometimes gets used in this kind of content to create excitement. I am being precise. The arrival of this surprise, the movement of this person towards you in the way I have described, does not simply add something pleasant to your current life. It reorganizes the landscape. It changes the story you have been telling yourself about where you are and where you are going. It changes the timeline you had accepted as likely. It changes the ceiling you had unconsciously placed on your own expectations of what is possible for you in love and connection. It changes the way you will carry yourself, not because someone else's interest is required for your confidence, but because being truly seen and truly chosen by someone who understands what they are choosing does something to a person. It settles something. It quiets a question that has been running in the background of your experience for longer than you perhaps realized. And beyond the personal, it changes the energy of your life more broadly. Because when a significant emotional weight resolves, when something that has been sitting unfinished finally reaches completion, the energy that was being used to hold that open question gets freed, released back into your system, available for everything else you are building and creating and moving toward. The ripple effect of what is coming is larger than the event itself. Let me speak to something that came through very specifically toward the end of this message. Something that I want to make sure reaches you clearly and completely. There is a version of you that has been on hold, not in a passive, nothing is happening way. You have been fully alive and fully functional and fully present in your life. But there is a particular expression of you, a particular quality of your aliveness that has been waiting for the right conditions to fully emerge, held in reserve, not hidden, but not yet fully released into the world. This person, this connection, these are the right conditions. Not because you need another person to be complete. You are complete. You have done the work of becoming someone who is whole within themselves. And that wholeness is actually part of what makes this connection possible in the form it is arriving. Two incomplete people reaching for each other creates a dynamic of need. Two whole people choosing each other creates something else entirely, something that has a foundation rather than just a feeling, something that can hold weight rather than just generate warmth. What is coming is the second kind. And the version of you that has been in reserve, that particular quality of your full expression that has been waiting, it knows this. It has already begun to stir. I also want to address the fear, because even in the middle of something beautiful, fear finds its footholds, and I feel it present in your energy, not as the dominant note, but as a quiet undercurrent. The fear that this is too good to be real. The fear that allowing yourself to fully open to this will make you vulnerable in ways that have hurt you before. The fear that the surprise, when it arrives, will require something of you that you are not sure you are ready to give. I want to speak to that fear with directness and with care. The version of you that was hurt before was operating with a different level of self-knowledge, a different relationship with your own worth, a different capacity to discern between what is genuine and what is simply compelling. You are not that version anymore. The growth you have done in the interim, quietly, privately, sometimes painfully, has changed your interior landscape in ways that protect you without closing you, that give you discernment without giving you distance, that allow you to be open and wise at the same time. You can receive this. You are ready to receive this. Not because the risk has been eliminated. Risk is always part of loving anyone. But because you finally trust yourself enough to navigate whatever arises with the clarity and the groundedness that only comes from genuine inner work. The fear is not a warning. It is simply the old alarm system registering a new experience it does not yet have a category for. Let it sound, and then let it quiet, and then step forward anyway. As I bring this reading toward its close, I want to give you something to carry with you, not a prediction to cling to, not a promise to hold so tightly that you forget to be present in the actual unfolding of your life, but a knowing, a settled, quiet knowing that belongs to you regardless of timeline or form or the specific way this energy chooses to express itself in your particular circumstances. You are not forgotten, not by the universe and not by this person. The things you have wanted in the quiet of your most honest moments have been heard. The connection you have carried in your awareness, examined and set aside and returned to and questioned and ultimately never fully released, that connection is alive. It is moving. It is finding its way toward expression in a form that is going to feel, when it arrives, like something that was always inevitable, because it was not in a way that removes your agency or this person's, but in the way that certain things, once begun, have a completion built into their nature. Like a sentence that begins with enough intention always finds its period. Like a melody that establishes itself always resolves. What exists between you and this person established itself with enough truth and enough depth that its resolution was always coming. The only variable was timing, and the timing is now. Carry this with you, not as something to obsess over or analyze or try to force into arrival before it is ready, but as a quiet companion to your ordinary days, a background knowing that colors everything with a soft, warm light. That makes the waiting, if there is still some waiting to do, feel different, feel purposeful, feel like the last few pages of a chapter that is about to turn rather than an endless middle with no visible end. Something is coming. Someone is coming. And when they arrive, when the surprise reveals itself in whatever beautiful, specific, perfectly timed form it has chosen, you are going to understand with your whole being why everything that came before this moment was exactly as it needed to be. Every delay, every detour, every moment of doubt that you moved through anyway, it was all leading here to this, to them, to the version of your life that is about to begin on the other side of a surprise you never saw coming, but somehow, in the deepest part of you, always knew was on its way. If this reading landed somewhere true for you today, please share it with someone who needs to feel this energy. And leave me a comment below telling me what stirred in you as you listened, what felt familiar, what felt like confirmation of something you have been carrying quietly and privately for too long. I read everything you share. I carry your stories with genuine care long after this video ends. Until next time, stay open, stay present, stay exactly who you are, because who you are is exactly what this is coming toward.